Hopefully you guys can pick up a couple of things if you're not new to the system, but this is geared more towards all the new folks here. So the first major mistake that I see people make is they've got the wrong person managing the system. And what they do, a lot of people will do is, all right, I'm gonna sign up for this new awesome, amazing text message service, this trendy way to generate leads, and I'm just going to hand it off to a VA and have them run it for me. I'm going to give them all the video training and they're going to run with it. That fails 9 times out of 10 because a VA doesn't know what a lead is for your business. And so who does? Well, the person that knows truly what a lead is for your business is typically the owner, always the owner. But they're also going to be the best person to truly recognize that lead as they come up inside of Sherpa. Now, I understand you guys as business owners don't want to be running this thing. Trust me, I understand that. But if you can't train the right person to do it for you effectively, you're going to fail at this. So you need to understand the system yourself first. You know what a lead is for your business. You can easily pick up on keywords, the distress indicators, that people say when they are probably going to be a motivated seller, or somebody who just has what we call a viable house. Motivated seller is kind of an overused word, but it's used for a reason in our industry, right? Because if somebody wants to sell their house, they're motivated, right? And so there's different degrees of motivation. We don't need to go down that road, but the key is to just really determine if a person has a house that they want to sell. It doesn't matter what the price is. And again, let me tell you guys, this is how we do it in my business. Okay. You guys are going to, everybody's business has different nuances to it. You're going to run it a little bit differently. So there's no one specific right way to use this product or to use this software, to use this system to generate leads. I'm just going to show you today how we do it, and then you can adapt and make it your own as well. So we look for what we call buyable houses. I don't care so much what the price is, because if it's a retail lead, we're kicking that over to our agents. And we gave them probably 300 or 400 or 500 leads last year. I don't remember what it was. And I know they closed at least 35, 40 transactions off of that. So I always harp on that in the group too. Make sure you're partnering with or selling your leads to your retail leads to an agent in your market, so you can monetize those leads. But you want to know, you're really looking for whether or not this person has a buyable house. And in order to do that, the prospects have to be identified by somebody who understands what that is in your business. And so make sure you've got the right person running Sherpa for you. Now we are close to being able to announce, I may even be able to post this link here today. We've partnered up with a VA company who they believe, I'm not completely convinced yet, just simply because it's new. They believe they've got a system in place that is scalable, that they'll be able to help a few or as many of our Sherpa customers as we send to them. So we'll talk more about that later, but I'll post a link to that probably sometime early next week. So anyway, qualify those prospects. You have to have somebody who understands what a lead is for your business. All right, so what list should you target? This is one of the questions that I get asked most often. So yeah, one mistake I see people make is they really focus on getting their niche lists, really whittled down and then uploaded into the system, and you spend 3 days on it, and then you get it up in the system and you have 163 people to message. Okay, that's fine if you want to do that, but I want to encourage everybody to start to think a little bit bigger than that. So go through your niche list, you hit your low hanging fruit, the pre-foreclosures, all those different types of distress. But you're going to blow through those really quick because there's a very finite amount of those types of properties in your market. So that's fine. Go ahead and hit them. You're probably going to get a higher response rate to those, and maybe even probably a higher conversion rate. But after those niche lists are depleted, then you want to go to an absentee list. Reason for that is you've got the ability to create or generate an absentee list very quickly through ListSource or whatever other list generating service that you're using. You can generate that list very quickly, very easily. And in my own business, our number one deal source is tired landlords. I would say probably 85-90% of our deals are people who own property. They no longer they hate the tenant that's in there. They're having problems for various reasons. Maybe they just need to sell to get the money, whatever it is. So that's your absentee list. There's a reason why all the gurus preach about, starting your mailing campaigns with absentees. It's just an easy list to get. And it's historically and still for us, a great way to generate deals. After you blast through your absentees, though, you're going to need to go even broader. So a common problem that most or every long-term Sherpa user is going to run into is that you run out of people to hit. Okay, so what we do is I pull entire counties of data and basically don't filter it much at all, right? So I'm just saying I don't want to hit anybody who's sold in the last 5 years. And I'm looking at properties that have a median price point or below, right? Or I might say, so for Denver, median price points probably pushing 450, 500,000. I might go up to 600,000 and then hit everybody below that. And then I want to hit older houses or houses that are, almost 20 years old or older. I don't want to hit new construction. And so that's my filter. Again, start to think bigger. Don't get hung up on hitting your niche lists too much, right? We still will upload pre-foreclosures and probates and all that. By the way, we found probates do not work very well with Sherpa. So don't focus too much on that type of distress. But think bigger. All right, another very, very important thing to remember is to use high quality data. Okay, so I don't care if you use our skip trace. I think our skip trace is the best one out there, but that doesn't matter to me. I'm not making much off of our skip trace. Well, the reason why we provide it is to give our customers high quality data. So if you've got another provider, you've got your own IDI account, TLO account, fantastic, keep using it. But don't use Data Zap. Don't use white pages. You get what you pay for with these cheap data sources. And the ultimate goal here is to reach the right person. And if you're using cheap data, you're not hitting the right people. And therefore you're not going to get deals. So we're highly motivated to give you guys good, high quality data, because then you're going to get in touch with the right people. And if you're hitting the right people, then you're going to eventually get more deals. So just really remember that. And then be careful as you're uploading your data too. Make sure that you're doing it the way that we instruct. You're following our guidelines as far as mapping everything correctly. You have to have first and last name separated out. You have to have property address, property address, city, state, zip, and a mailing address, city, state, zip. You need both of those. If you don't have one or the other, simply duplicate the one you do have into the one that you don't, but we require both. The reason why is because when that data is then uploaded, the reason why we're so strict is because when that data is uploaded, it's going to return a much better result if you follow our instructions. So learn how to use Excel, If you don't know how to separate out, first and last name from the same column, get on YouTube and search for Excel text to columns. It's a very simple process. You can do it very quickly, and it'll help you format your data properly. Again, the reason why we stress that you have to do it our way is because we know that if you do it our way, we're going to get you the best possible results, and you're going to get the best data returned back, which is going to lead to more deals for you. So that's why we're so strict. All right, what do you say? This is another big question. So don't overthink this, right? You're just looking for people who want to sell their house. So it's as simple as asking them that question. But there's a formula that we encourage people to use, and that's all printed out or written out there in the template page. But here it is again. Okay, so you want to identify yourself, and you don't have to put it in this order, right? So we tell everyone, think about these different things, add your own ideas in here and rearrange them and come up with 10, 15, 20 different messages. The key to maintaining a high delivery rate is to switching up your messaging and switching it up often, and not using what other people are using. There's no magic bullet. There's no one phrase or one message that you can use that's going to get someone to just magically turn over the keys to their house to you, right? It's just, all you got to do is hit somebody at the right time and ask them if they want to sell their house. So but there are definitely some things that you want to remember, right? You want to let people know who you are. So I tell people, always put yourself in the shoes of the recipient. Okay, so if you're getting a text message out of the blue from somebody that you don't know, you would want them to identify themselves. So you should do the same thing, right? Also address the person that you're sending a message to by their name, first name, last name, one or the other. Identify the property address. So tell them what you're interested in purchasing, right? Be specific, and we make it easy to do that through the merge tags. But if you do that, you're being direct, right? You're letting them know exactly who you are, why you're approaching them, and what you're interested in, and then ask questions, right? So this is a key thing to do in order to keep the conversation flowing. Ask questions throughout, not just on the initial message, but I always tell people to end just about every message, unless it doesn't make sense, with a question in order to keep them engaged in the conversation. Keep your messaging short. I don't have that written out here, but keep it short and to the point. Don't go on and on, with a run-on sentence or a multi-sentence, a paragraph in your initial message. Keep in mind, we've got that character count that we're gonna add. We've had a couple of requests to add that character count to other fields or other areas in the site, but right now I believe it's just in the message creation template page. Keep it under 160 characters total, 140 if you can. And watch that best practices video. Watch it a couple of different times. All right, so another very important thing is that I see people make a mistake, newer folks to the system, is they're not consistent, right? So you've got to be consistent when you do this. Otherwise, you're not going to see results. Send your messages every day. Block out, or whoever from your team either needs to be, blocking out 2, 3, 4 hours a day to do this. If you're just sending out a couple hundred messages and then skipping a day and then coming back and then, you let it get away from you, you're not going to be successful. It's just like any other marketing channel. You've got to be consistent. You want to reply quickly too. So I require my team to get back in touch with with the replies that are coming back in within 5 minutes or less. I just got a question. every day from Lauren. She says, you know, do you even want to do it on weekends? We do on Saturdays. We'll alternate, usually like every other Saturday or just whenever my VA really wants to work. Um, you know, he'll sometimes request extra hours. I never text on Sunday because I wouldn't want to receive a text like this on Sunday. I'm not telling you guys, I mean, we could easily restrict that and just not allow it altogether. I'm not telling you guys that you can't do it. I'm telling you, put yourself in the shoes of the recipient. And if you received a text like this on a Sunday afternoon when you're hanging out with your family, is that something that you would appreciate, or would it kind of turn you off? For me, that would turn me off. So Monday through Saturday, and never text, you know, late at night unless somebody's trying to engage you. Then you can send one-off text messages. Sometimes people only want to talk in the middle of the night. You know, I'm typically not up then, but you know, if it's 9:30, 10 o'clock at night and someone's going back and forth, you know, and I don't do this anymore, but you know, it's okay to go back and forth with somebody who's indicating that they want to talk, but don't ever send out a bulk message campaign after, you know, 7 p.m. at night. Again, just put yourself in the recipient's shoes, and don't be shy. Okay. I see a lot of people, again, who just send out a couple hundred a day, or, you know, or they're a little bit bashful. I think text message marketing is so much easier than cold calling, and you don't really have to think about what you're saying too much because you're not like put on the spot there. You have a minute to actually consider your replies, and I think it's easier. So don't be shy. It's not like cold calling. I think it's exponentially easier. You know, just go for it. Think bigger again. Think bigger, like we talked about earlier. Okay, so here's just a couple of keys to success. And I think some of these we've already touched on, but let's just go over them. So obviously you want to be nice and personal to people. Keep your messaging short. You want to respond quickly, like we talked about, 5 minutes or less, if you can. No links. Never, ever include a link in your initial messaging. Okay, that's going to kill your phone numbers. And your phone numbers, you have to think about as living, breathing things that can die. You gotta treat them. You gotta treat them like a delicate flower that could wither away if you don't water it and take care of it, right? So links, that's the number one quick way to kill all of your phone numbers. Now, I'm gonna show you guys something that we have not released here that we're getting ready to probably within the next couple of days after we get done with this slide here. It's going to be hopefully a game changer for some of you guys that are having some deliverability issues. Obviously, you guys know we're using local numbers, so we don't have to talk about that. But that's what you want to do. You don't want to use a short code. Again, end with a question and expect some negativity. That's just part of not only this prospecting process, but you're going to get that from any other marketing channel too. We get surprisingly little or surprisingly few pissed off people. It's all about just keeping people, you know, following the process that we've laid out, identifying yourself, and most people are gracious. You know, hey, you know, I'm not interested in selling, but you know, maybe check back with me later, or you know, thanks for. A lot of people will even thank you, so that's fine. The people who come across as extra negative, though, you know, they're threatening to report you and all that. Don't get into a conversation with them. It's not going to lead anywhere good for you, right? Just put them on the do not call list and forget about them. Move on to the next. We already talked about the benefits, or the necessity rather, to use high quality data. You definitely need to qualify people thoroughly too. So you don't want to waste a whole lot of time talking to people on the phone until you actually know they have a buyable house. And a buyable house could be a house that they want to sell at full market value or at wholesale pricing. But it doesn't matter. You still want to qualify them enough
to know whether or not they'd have a house that they'd even be willing to sell within the next couple of months. And that phrasing I just used is in our quick replies. You send someone a message and they say, yeah, what's your offer? My response is always going to be, well, assuming I could pay what you want, or assuming I could meet your price expectations, would you even be willing or able to sell within the next month or two? Well, no, they might say, well, no, I was just curious, because we get a lot of tire kickers that want us to value their properties for them, and we're not going to waste time with those people. But once you figure out that someone's got a house that they actually want to sell, convert it to a phone call. Okay, so what we do is we stack 10-minute phone calls up for our acquisitions people, and we'll have, 8, sometimes as many as 8 or 9 calls a day. And it's up to them, the acquisitions, to determine whether or not they actually want to go see the property, because they're the true experts on determining whether or not it's a legitimate lead, or if it's a lead that should just be referred over to our retail team. All right, I'm going to go back over and look at the group chat here and pick out a couple of questions. And I don't have anybody helping me, so I'm going to be a little slow reading through these. How long should you schedule yourself to be on the system after sending your last text? So what we do is I tell, and our VA, Zach, he's really great. So by the way, VAs typically suck, but if you can find somebody and train them up right, and they can do a good job for you. And Zach, the guy that we found, he does a fantastic job for us. So he knows to stop sending messaging 45 minutes, typically before the end of his shift. So that way he'll watch all the different messaging that comes back in, clean it up over the following 45 minutes towards the end of the day, and then call it good. And then he'll usually check back in once, an hour or two later. And then if it's, let's say it's a Friday like today, there's going to be more messages that come back in over the weekend, or even just over the evening period, right before the next day if it's in the middle of the week. But over the weekends, he'll check it once or twice a day, and it takes 2 minutes, 3 minutes to clean up those replies, and then it's good, right? So, look, we know that after hours messaging, there's going to be people that hit you, and they're going to have to wait. They're just going to have to wait for a reply back from you, unless you've got a system that you want to put in place in your own business that will address those late replies. For me, we get back to them in 8-10 hours, whenever it is that we come back online. How do we get notified when a text is received? Do we always have to refresh the page? Yes. So we get this question a lot. You wouldn't want a notification hitting you every time somebody replies to a message. You would be absolutely 100% overwhelmed, and then you would just turn those replies off. So yeah, you need to refresh the page, and you need to look at the chat bubbles that show, the blue chat bubbles that indicate whether you've got an unread message to get back to. We are considering different ways to possibly implement an alert system for certain lead stages, but again, having an alert system would just overwhelm you. So yeah, just refresh the page. It's not hard. If it's a hot lead, then you need to be using the call and SMS relay function. And what that does is that directly connects the lead to your phone or your acquisitions person's cell phone, and you can go back and forth texting them from your native text message app. That's the best way. If it's a lead that that you don't want to miss a message from, that's what we designed that for. You're not going to miss any calls or messages if you connect that relay. We've got a question from Chris. He asks no links. Asks about no links in the initial message. 100% not allowed, but if you want to send a link in a subsequent message after the conversation has been started, you can do that. We see typically those messages go through, but remember, any link that you send is going to probably raise a flag by the carriers, so use them sparingly. I wouldn't work it into your workflow where as soon as someone replies back, then you're automatically, not automatically, but you've instructed the person that's managing your system to send a link to your website or to a landing page or to your Better Business Bureau. Like, don't do that. Only include a link if somebody like requests it, or if you see a really good need to do so. I would use links sparingly always.